And welcome into the late shift, brought to you by Bud Light. As the fans trickle out of the Enterprise Center, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy here tonight, and smiles on the faces of Blues fans, and a lot of smiles on the faces of those here inside the Let's Go Lounge. We got a couple of Blues broadcasting royalty here.
Cheers, pal.
Bud Light, yes.
Cheers.
Yes.
Thanks to Bud Light.
Thanks to Bud Light.
Thanks for having us, Andy.
John Kelly, Darren Pang, back in the house. I think the crowd is still celebrating. Panger, who was more nervous now here tonight? Was it you, or just the fans to be able to see you and recognize you once again, man? That was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun coming here today.
Yeah.
And you guys saw you this morning, and not the most fun I have, but coming back here and seeing little Charlie and Hadley, and all they wanted to do was come to practice. and as soon as Charlie came down the ramp and she heard the noise, she knew that there was pucks. And she could hear the pucks and she said it. So the whole day has been a great day. You guys know, I mean, it's not easy. You come back and it's going to be an emotional day. And you know me, I cry like you read about. I'm that kind of guy. But to have the tribute, to say hello to so many people, to see so many familiar faces, were really outstanding. And to see a hockey game like that, it reminded me of when I played in the 21 team league.
Right.
No lead is safe.
Right, against Gretzky, right?
And Gretz has been in the house too, so Gretz got to see a magnificent goal from Bedard and a 5-2 deficit for the Blues ends up being a win. What a night!
We hear about it from players all the time. They come back and play, with their original team, and the excitement for a player. I don't know if I've seen that too often with a broadcaster. A broadcaster comes back and gets that type of reception. But what was that like to get that type of reception from the fans?
Actually incredible, and I thank to Tim Paps and the Blues and everybody. See you later, Gretz. See you guys. And really to get that, to have everybody on board with that. I got a nice note from Tom Stillman as well. Actually, how many owners send you a text and apologize that you're not that they're not here. So
there you go, pointing to the chest, and that is sincere, man. The connection you have with the city and the fan base. I mean, that's difficult to obviously not to
now you're gonna make
game
me cry.
In, game out. I don't want to make you cry.
I've been doing a good job here. Man, I mean,
Johnny, how about you though? You see a lot of great memories, or you have a lot of great memories. You saw a lot of that video footage.
What I think is incredible is that number one, it was a great video put together by the Blues, but also the fact that this is a guy that played for the Blackhawks, came to St. Louis in 2009 and worked here for 14 years, and he's now back in Chicago, as we know, as a broadcaster, but he's loved here in St. Louis. So you think about the entire circle of Darren Pang's career as a player and as a broadcaster, and for him to make that kind of impact on the fans here, the great fans of St. Louis, I think is remarkable, and it's a testament of not only how great a broadcaster he is, but how great a person he is, and how he just endeared himself to Blues fans by what he did around the community, and they just love the guy. And I just think, again, he's a Blackhawk player and a former Blackhawk, but he's loved by Blues fans. It's very unique, I think, and it's really special.
Well, I remember that leap of faith when John Davidson, called, and we were in Arizona, and Mike Caruso called, and Kelly Chase is there at the hotel. They want to play golf. My dad was in town, and we played in a fivesome at the very end. I mean, John Davidson kept saying it. He kept saying the same thing over and over. Hey, if it doesn't work out, would you consider it? We're thinking of making some changes and tweaks here and there, and would you consider it? And I remember telling him, I played for the Blackhawks. They hate each other.
Right.
How is this going to work? And JD was so persistent, and his one line still kills me to this day. Don't kid yourself, Panger. You weren't that good of a player. You'll win them over as a broadcaster. And you remember what it was like. I mean, I come in here, and you're trying to absorb the fabric of St. Louis that you don't know. You don't know how to say some certain streets.
Right.
And I remember Mike Caruso texting me going, no, we don't say it that way here. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, this is going to be challenging, because the amount of people that love the game of hockey and sports, and they're listening to everything you say, and also with that comes every mistake you make because you're not from here.
Yeah.
But I certainly feel like I am from here, and I certainly feel like this is home for me.
All right, were you nervous about that?
Yes.
Coming to St. Louis,
Yes.
knowing you were a Chicago Blackhawk?
For sure.
And when did you know you made the right decision?
that first game that you and I were in the broadcast booth on the 300 level because Bernie was down below at the beginning.
Right.
And I remember walking through the concourse and there was a whole bunch of Hawk fans and they were wanting to take pictures. And so I do what I always do, take a picture. And then as I'm doing that, Blues fans were going by and giving it to me. And I'm like, oh man, I am in a pickle here. But after I got through that game and maybe the next game, then I started to feel more comfortable. It just takes some time.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time to feel comfortable and know your surroundings. And over time, it was incredible, actually. I mean, one of the greatest broadcasts we ever did was Game 7 against the Blackhawks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great game. Brower scores the winner. We had a massive rating, the best rating ever on Fox Sports Midwest. It was a great game. But what I liked as well about the tribute, and you cheered up a little bit, which I knew you would, because you're an emotional guy. But was the reaction of the fans was awesome, but also the players. The players on both teams stood up and tapped their sticks on the boards. It was really fun to see and really special.
I'm looking forward to seeing that again. I mean, I look at all the memories we have right here. This is a young group of ours, and boy, there's our dear friend Chaser right there, who's at the game tonight, and Stas, who just retired, and the bench interviews, how much fun. Oh man, Steiner's goal. Did I jump on you on Steiner's goal?
When it was
the short-handed 5-on-3? Oh my goodness. Oh, I jumped on many goals from you. That was a great memory too.
Yeah.
And that was also a moment for me that was a little, I was wondering if I was going to do it. I remember Kelly Chase pulling me aside and said, hey, you're playing. I said, I don't feel real comfortable about that. And he goes, you're playing. There's only one chance for a Winter Classic to play in St. Louis. You're going to wear the Blackhawks sweater. And I did. And it was, that was kind of, I was nervous going into that game, to be honest with you. These fans of St. Louis, it's never ending in terms of my respect for the fans here. And that moment was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they're so knowledgeable, as we know. I mean, they know the great moments and they know great people. So we had a lot
Well, they know guys that go in and hunker into bars too and say hello to people.
Right.
They appreciate that part of it. Going into restaurants and being out on the streets and just kind of just being a part of everybody. Yeah. Whether I go to McGraw's and say hello to Rick or somewhere else like O.B. Clark's and have a couple, or I mean that's relationships. I think that's the biggest thing is relationships.
Yeah.
You guys were such a good tandem though, Johnny, and you've been around for a long time, obviously. But how well did you guys know each other prior to working together?
Well, really well, because
yeah, but really not as never worked together.
Right. Not together, but. First of all, we're from Ottawa.
Yeah.
But, we have that
Everyone knows
connection.
each other from Ottawa.
But
is that like Saskatoon? Everyone's related.
Right. But, I worked...
No, the Nepean's better.
I worked in Colorado for 9 years before coming here. And at the time, Darren was doing ESPN games. So the Avalanche were a really good team. So he probably did, including playoffs, he probably did 15 of the Avalanche games every year. So I saw you all the time. But we never really, played golf or, had drinks together. But I know him really well, but not as well, obviously, when he came here and became my broadcast partner. So it's special.
All right, what's the adjustment when you work with a personality like Darren? Because you don't know what he's going to say, what he's going to do. I mean, he is certainly a guy that every broadcast, every game is different.
You have to be on your toes because it could be a reference to music or golf or his career or the last play.
How many wins?
How many wins? He's got 27 wins. I know that.
How many games played?
But you know what? That's what makes him special is because not only is he a great worker, a great analyst, but he's an entertainer. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We're in the entertainment business, and fans tune in, and they want to be entertained, and they want to laugh. And that was at our
the Oscars.
That was at our.
Is he adorable?
That's on the bus, and the video tonight, though. I mean, all of the get-ups you got, and how do you think of this stuff?
He's driving the bus,
right there.
Right. And the teeth.
I broke the teeth, though.
Yeah.
Darn it, I broke the teeth. We got a lot of good laughs on the teeth, that's for sure.
But anyways, Andy, we laughed a lot on and off the microphone. And
I can't believe all the
had
pictures
so much
that we've
fun.
got here.
Yeah, there's a young Darren Pang with Steve Levy.
Wow. That's amazing. That's in Ottawa.
Where was that? Ottawa?
That's in Ottawa, yeah, the back room. So, I remember this one. Oh boy, that was in Florida. That was in Florida where I had to get a ride back. Oh, that's a beauty right there.
What about being in Chicago?
Let's not forget about Hammer.
Yes.
He made a lot of our broadcasts, great broadcasts.
You put Kerber to sleep here.
It's hard to do.
What about being back in Chicago? What's that been like?
You know, it's such a change. Like when I came here, Tim Papson and Phil Mollica and then the production crew, you're getting used to them. You're getting used to the cadence of your play-by-play guy. I'm going through a lot of that. With new producer Sean Day came over from the Bay Area. Didn't really know the directors and everybody there. So I'm really getting to know everybody, and they're getting to know me and my ADD sometimes on talkback.
Yeah.
So that part of it's new. Chris Foster's he's a young, caring, smart kid that doesn't have a hockey background like John does, or like so many, like Curbs does, that go to the minors and do that. So I mean, he is doing a great job of trying to find me too. Like, it's not easy for this young fella, and every time he turns around and I might say something like John says that catches him off guard. And Lynn and I are in the West Loop. There's a number of great restaurants right there. We've enjoyed that. Our little dog Bruce is there as well, and we're I mean, the schedule is tough. It's a grinding, taxing schedule. Flying in and out of Chicago has made it a little bit easier going to national games back and forth. But there's not a moment that goes by that I don't think about being with the grandkids, and being here, or being in St. Louis, and being close to Meadowbrook, and the weather that gets nice. But overall, going back to Chicago and having the Wirtz family, really. It's amazing to think that Rocky Wirtz, the late Rocky Wirtz, was makes those calls, brings me, and I taught Danny Wirtz how to be a goalie. So there's obviously a lot of familiarity, and there was a lot of want on their side, and timing in life is what it is.
And you knew Rocky's dad when you played for the Blackhawks.
I've known Rocky for.
No, his dad though. You knew his dad.
Yeah, I know. Well, Bill, and then Bill and I, go back a long way, and I started my broadcast career there. You know that. I didn't just jump into a booth. I did a Hawk Talk. I did 3 times. I updated a Hawk Talk for 75 cents a minute. Think
Hawk
of that.
Talk.
Hawk Talk with Darren Pang, and then I did shows on Sports Channel and Sports Vision, and then I did radio pre, post, and what have you, and then I ended up doing some games, and ESPN hired me. So it was a long ride, and I appreciate the fact that the Wirtz family really wanted me back as part of their family and being part of the next wave here with Connor Bedard and the players. So.
All right, you just mentioned Connor Bedard, and we saw the Michigan goal tonight, and obviously a generational talent. Everyone was excited to see him enter the National Hockey League.
He got a good applause tonight before.
He did. So what's it like being around him on a daily basis? What's he like as a person behind the scenes and then calling his games?
Yeah, he's an incredible person, and you imagine being 18 years old and being asked to do.
No.
His first game was on ESPN. He had 3 interviews in game. His second game was on TNT. He had 2 interviews in game. His third game was Hockey Night in Canada, Saturday Night in Montreal. He had 2 interviews. His fourth game was in Toronto, which they switched, I think, to Hockey Night in Canada. Hey, Jordan, good job. Merry Christmas. And so that's his first 4 games. I mean, who does like that? It's incredible what he's done, and then he's been able to perform. And the other thing is he's got the knack like all great ones do. Mm-hmm. Wayne Gretzky just went over to the room to talk to him just after the game, and Connor. They talk a little hockey and whatever. And as Connor is about to leave, he gives me a pat and he goes, "That was a great tribute."
Oh, really?
So he pays attention.
Yeah.
Right.
And this was the first time Wayne said he's ever seen him play live.
Yeah,
was tonight.
that's exactly right. Exactly right. And he got to see a pretty magnificent goal. But I think the awareness that he has to say that to me, that's a great tribute. Like, he's got it all. He's a great kid. I'm looking forward to being the soundtrack for a number of years to come.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. I mean, you think about these guys that have come in, Crosby, McDavid, and you see all the questions these guys are asked all the time. Bedard,
McKinnon started on a bad team in Colorado with very few points, and then you surround them with good draft picks. And we saw that differently here in St. Louis when I first came. Remember the 3 picks in the first round. Getting EJ number 1 overall, but then getting 3 guys, including Ocean, Bergie and
Perron,
and that's how you build it that way as well. And I think Kyle Davidson and the Hawks are hoping that that's going to happen and surround this young phenom with a lot of good talent.
Andy had a great question of Bedard, by the way. He interviewed Wayne live on our show, and he asked Wayne if he ever did that, and Wayne, he's so humble. He said, "Oh, I could never do that." Because of his blade, he said. He had the old Titan stick, right? But I think Wayne would have figured out how to do that.
Absolutely.
If he would have wanted to do it, or had a different stick. But anyways, it was pretty cool to have Wayne on the air right after that happened.
But in our day, didn't he say on the air that if I was in net, he would have scored? I think he did.
On the with the
on
Michigan.
yeah. If Panger was in net, he would have scored. But I think too, in our day, keep in mind that you were prohibited to do that. If somebody did that in practice, the goalie came across with a stick and said, if you can't do it in the game, don't do it in practice. We used to get irate at all the hot dogging moves.
Yeah.
It's a big
I don't
difference.
think Bob Plager would have liked that.
Not one bit.
Right? Or Ben Wilson.
It would have been a cross-check right to the chops.
There was actually two of
but
them
it's
tonight.
but
Because
it's
Zegers
different.
did it also tonight.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the Zegers did it tonight too. As a goaltender, though, I mean you're
It's
just not
almost a high.
expecting
It's
it, right?
almost a high stick.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to Doug Armstrong between periods, and I said the problem with that is it's not a hockey play. Now the great thing is it's a great athletic play, and it shows great hands, and it's phenomenal for the sport. But from a true the puck's not on the ice, and I know sometimes you swat it out of midair, but we're not used to playing goal with somebody that has it on their stick like a lacrosse stick, so that's difficult. I would have come, if that would have happened to me, I probably would have come stick first at one point, but I think he absolutely shocked Vinny. I think he had no idea that was coming.
Yeah.
The way he did it, and the way he turned it as a right-hand shot and came back that way.
Right. Remember a couple years ago, Zegers tried to do it against Bennington. Remember in Anaheim? And Parayko was right there. I think he swatted it off his stick. So.
Yeah.
But I called it one of the most unbelievable goals I've ever seen in my broadcasting career tonight. You agree?
How was your
I
call?
don't know. I don't remember what my call was.
I would have cut you off like
Yes,
you read about.
Yeah, there would have been a holy jumping.
In fact, I think I might have called the goal.
You probably would have.
I think I got a scored.
Yes.
Hey, but that timing and that rhythm, that communication, that chemistry between play-by-play guy and color commentator, right? I mean, that's important.
Well, listen, I just saw Joel Edmondson the other day, and
Scored a goal, right?
funniest
The game you
thing,
called.
I said during the broadcast, I said, Joel Edmondson's first goal, I actually called that goal. I took it right from you.
You did.
Well, sure enough, he scored his first goal with Washington. He skates by me and goes, I need you around more often. It was great to relationships, and but you're right about that. Like there's some cadence or there's some things that you see right away, and you get so excited. It's not like you're trying to. I mean, those are important calls for your play-by-play guy, and I don't mean to do it, but you just get so fired up, and you see it go in like that.
But you know what? He's excited, Andy, and he was excited when Joel scored his first goal because we all love Joel,
And he hadn't scored.
He hadn't scored a goal,
Yeah.
so it was just utter enthusiasm for a guy that he really likes. So that's all it is.
Hey, I want to ask
right.
you because you mentioned it, but Kelly Chase was in the house tonight. I'm sure you've been in touch with him and talking to him often. You guys have always had a great relationship, so I don't know if you had a chance to go see him tonight or not.
I couldn't get from the top level down an elevator, go across, and come back in time.
No, you would have missed the
So
period.
I couldn't. I got a note during the game. I actually called Chaser this morning. He was meeting with doctors. I wanted to walk over there because we were in Clayton. And anyway, I talked to him yesterday, talked to him the day before, and I'm going to be here for Christmas, so I'm going to definitely get a chance to see him. And we all know he's a fighter and a scrapper, and we know it. But I think his attitude is great, and the fact that he had a Peloton bike in the hospital.
Hey, your buddy or Sonny?
How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, big guy. When you cut that hair, give me some of that, okay? Okay.
Send you some.
Merry Christmas to you.
You too, buddy.
Okay, I'll see you at McGraw's.
He's one of our all-time favorites, Andy. You know that.
Yeah,
He
he
is.
sure
Hey,
is.
that's got to be the best part, right? I mean, the
It's the
relationship
best
with the
part.
players, seeing all the players come back.
It is. I mean, it's a hard balance that we all have. When games are going on and you're disappointed, your fans are disappointed, you're disappointed, you're watching the game, you just. You got to say the right things, and sometimes
We
it
have
might come out
credibility,
wrong.
right,
You have
Barry?
credibility. You
Yeah.
got to come in the locker room afterwards, and the fun thing that I've always enjoyed this part of it. I made some mistakes early in my career by saying something that was inappropriate and that a player wasn't happy with, and I learned really quickly. And I think one of them was Ty Domi, and he let me know that it wasn't the right thing to say. And I after that, I'm like, if I can't say something to the guy's face, I cannot say it on the air. And I think it's a great foundation for young broadcasters, just to
a great
follow
rule of
that
thumb,
through.
really is.
And then when you go in the locker room and you say, "Oh, Sonny, man, can't believe you fanned on that pass," and he'd be like, "Oh, I know, I'm trying to flip it out," But that's the way you, I think, get the respect from them, and they know that you're trying hard for them as well.
You guys both have to just think and just kind of reflect how long you've been in the business and how long you've been doing this. I mean, how fortunate you are.
Very
I
fortunate.
mean, every time I turn around, Panger, whether it's a historic game or something that happened, I feel like you were there, and you continue to call national games to this day.
Lucky, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, lucky that TNT's a great network to work for, and I think they like personalities. You know, they let you be you.
Yeah.
You know, they've got one point I've got a camera on my headset, I got a camera in the booth. They know that players are going to come and talk, and I think that's great for the game of hockey when they see the personalities of the players. And when I've got Ovechkin looking over there and I say, oh, I think it's a high stick, and it's not a high stick, and he swats his hand and he walks away. People like that stuff, you know, and so that part of it's been great. But starting at ESPN was a great ride, and you guys know that. I called many games here in St. Louis, and many great games, and man, oh man.
Do people remember you in Chicago still as a player? I mean, the younger fans, I mean...
The old ones do.
Yeah, the old ones do. Do they?
No, you're right. That's the balance. Just because you played there doesn't mean that you...
Look at these.
Wow. That would be a glove save off of Steven Yzerman right there. That was.
You have some other great glove saves coming up that we're going to see. I think in a game against the Capitals.
That's on Big Probert right there. Look at the TV. What kind of TV was that back then? No wonder people couldn't follow hockey. Huh? This is
not exactly HD, is it?
No. The saves would have looked a lot cleaner there, but that's the battles you like right there. You know, clutch at scraps and then.
You had a couple of great glove saves coming up.
At Madison Square Garden right there. That I'll never forget that. And look at there's no advertising on the boards. Yeah. And see the way the crease is? It was a rectangular crease, and I think the goalies complained that they were going to change it to the oval crease, and we all said, well, you can't change it just yet. We're working on our angles from that rectangular crease. So there was a couple in Washington that I really enjoyed their breakaway saves. And I had like 3 breakaways in the same game, and it was like, that was kind of a defining moment
Here's
for me
one right
to begin
here.
it.
This is one.
Yeah, that's Bobby Gould. Pat Foley with the call. Pat had some great calls, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
If it wasn't Bannerman, it was, when he belted that out. And
you know, Andy, I know you know this, but maybe
Mike
our
Gardner.
fans don't know this.
Mike Gardner.
But Darren is the second shortest goalie to ever play in the NHL. It's pretty remarkable,
Who's
really.
shorter?
Shrimp Waters.
That's right.
Panger?
Yeah, Roy Shrimp Waters.
And how tall was he?
Like 5'3",
So
125.
you could eat an apple off his head, as you like to say.
Right? For sure. I'm 5'4" and a half. I played at 135 pounds. I played one game at 128 pounds. I lost a little weight. I was a little nervous. Had a broken finger. I was throwing up before the game.
Can you imagine that, Andy?
I was told by our goalie coach, Wayne Thomas, and I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I didn't understand it. He goes, you got to play well to stay up, or you're going to go down.
Wow, that's pressure.
I was like, oh my God. That's when I started throwing up before games, I think. Right about then.
How often do you see the Blues play? You try to catch games when you can?
Absolutely. 100%. Keep in touch with the guys and keep in touch. Hey, Otter. How you doing, buddy?
What a tribute video.
Don't knock
Was that good? Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you, buddy.
You too, buddy.
Thanks, Otter.
Another good guy.
That's one of the best right there.
Yep.
How about the time that he went into the boards right in front of me?
Oh, and blew out his hamstring.
Both hamstrings.
Yes.
And it was like, oh my God.
You could probably hear him groan.
But he didn't lay down on the ice, did he? He tried to get up.
Right back up again. And amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing guy.
What's the plan for the holiday break now?
Going to stay here in St. Louis. And on the 27th, I've got a game in Buffalo for TNT. Then I'm going to go to Dallas. Then I'm going to go to the Winter Classic in Seattle, and do that. And then I'm going to go from there to. I'm back here. Actually, going to spend 4 more days back here.
How do you keep your energy? What's the key? What's the secret?
I out energized coffee.
You do. This guy, we could land at 3 a.m, Andy, in Edmonton. We have a 45-minute bus ride to the hotel. And this guy is yapping, he's on the microphone, he just won't shut up. I've never met a person with more energy than Darren
I slipped
Pang.
on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you're amazing.
Well,
right?
I think I've always had high octane. Look at this. I remember that. That was great.
Where is this?
I tried to take a scooter from the elbow room in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's not going to work very well. Remember that the bus got. Who's got all these videos? This is unbelievable.
That was in Phoenix.
Remember the bus stop?
Yeah, the glass broke, remember?
Oh,
no, that was in
Calgary.
We got locked out.
Oh.
But where do you get your energy, Panger, really?
I don't know. I get good rest. I tell you, when I fall asleep, guys, I fall asleep. I go hard. I think my batteries have emptied. I've always been that way. High octane at the middle of, in the middle of the day, later in the day. We've always been hockey, so it's always been hockey. So my game goes that way, you know that. And I'm fired up by the time of the game, and I can't go down.
Right.
So I mean, whether I'm having poutine.
That's in Ottawa, by the way.
In Ottawa, by the way. Where? Surprise you guys. Go back on the air with some poutine. That was a funny moment right there.
What's the weather going to be like in Seattle coming up? You got that.
Not as cold as that. That was Minnesota right there.
God.
That was as cold as I've ever had. Yeah.
Yeah, and your cousin Daryl here made an appearance, right?
Cousin Daryl. Every time I see Jake Allen, he always asks where cousin Daryl is. He'll be in the hallway and go, "Hey, Daryl," and guys are looking like it's Darren.
I love it. I love it. And the grandkids are getting older, and they get to see you work and everything, and come down to the rink. That's the best part, right? I mean, it's
it is.
They get to be a part of it too.
Well, remember what it was like with your kids being young and you bring them to the game. You remember what it was like being. I still see that picture upstairs in the broadcast booth with you and your dad, and those are amazing moments. And you're going through it, your coach, and you're with your kids. But from having 5 granddaughters under the age of 4, 3 of them in New Jersey. I'll get there in February and see them, and then obviously the 2 that are right here with Luke and Sammy. It's precious. We brought them to Chicago. I brought them to Chicago, and I got little Charlie and Hadley a Tommy Hawk. That's the mascot, and a little reluctant at first, because Louis is in bed as well. They haven't had any fights, I guess, in there. I guess they're getting along.
Great.
But she came to practice today.
Yeah,
they both had their blue sweaters.
I was going to say, they have blue sweaters on, so that's great.
Yeah.
They're smart kids.
They're born and raised in St. Louis.
They are Blues fans.
They are.
Yeah.
They think Grandpa got traded like Ryan O'Reilly, she says. Traded like Ryan O'Reilly did. That's great.
Was it different coming to the game today?
Yes, very much so. Oh, very much so. The whole way about it, just coming through downstairs even for the practice this morning and saying hello to people that I haven't seen. You remember that I was in Michigan when this all happened, and things happen, it's like bang, you don't get to see anybody. You don't get to see security. You don't get to see a number of people that it's nice coming back.
Yeah, well, I know the fans love
especially
seeing
this
you
time
too.
of year.
Yeah,
Christmas.
It's always great to see you, Pang.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
You too, JK. Merry Christmas.
Appreciate it. Merry Christmas,
buddy.
Hey, I brought you
Merry
something,
Christmas,
by the way,
buddy.
because
Love
you
you,
left
pal.
this, so it's about time you take this. This was left behind.
Man,
it's yours.
Oh, that is great. I'm gonna keep that for sure.
You're taking that home.
Oh, I'm taking that home.
This has been the late shift. Brought to you by Bud Light. Thanks for tuning in as always. John Kelly, Darren Pang. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.